Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, have you ever come home from the big box store with an exotic, gorgeous flower that you could not wait to display in your home? Well, that happened recently in my home just a couple of weeks ago, and let me show you what my sweet husband brought home for me. Yeah, like many of you, you can't resist these beautiful orchids that are everywhere in the big box stores and in grocery stores right now. And oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. And I'm so appreciative of my husband gifting me with this. However, I don't do well with orchids. And I don't know about many of you, but you might not do well with orchids either. And so in the matter of a couple of weeks, it is on the struggle bus. I followed all the directions that came with this lovely orchid, and they are, in my opinion, a big fail. So today's video is all about Orchid Rescue. So obviously you can see where I'm coming to you from today. I am inside my greenhouse because, oh my gosh, it is so chilly, rainy, and miserable here, and it has been for 3 solid days. Now, I'm not complaining because we need all this rain, but I am complaining because I was actually planning to get out in the garden for the last 2 days and sow a bunch of spring crops in my raised beds. But you know what? Mother Nature had other plans, so that's okay. So why not bring you out here with me, spend some time in my lovely warm greenhouse and work on repotting this orchid. I am not somebody that is suspicious by nature, but I'm wondering if any of you had the same experience. Have you had the experience like I just did yesterday where you are talking about things in your life and you have your iPhone or your iPad nearby, and then lo and behold, the very next day, within 24 hours, you start getting all of these videos popping up, etc., that are related to what you were just talking about. Or even worse, you start getting advertisements for things that you were just discussing in the privacy of your own home. Anyhow, well, as it would have it, Alan and I were talking yesterday about this beautiful orchid and that it wasn't looking so great. And next thing you know, yesterday on Instagram, this woman pops up in a video. She's sort of an orchid expert, and she was talking about the same thing. When you get these orchids from big box stores, they are not meant to last, actually. And so she came up with 8 things that she does when she brings home orchids from the big box store to give them a long, beautiful, healthy life. So that's what today's all about. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you. I'm going to be doing one of her experiments and hoping it will rescue my beautiful orchid. But before I get into those 8 tips for what you might want to do when you bring your orchid home, I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. Doing that helps me grow my channel and reach more wonderful gardeners just like you. All right, let's get to it. So I have my notes over here because I want to follow her directions. And she's got sort of 8 things she wants us to do to take care of these orchids. So the very first thing she recommends doing is removing it from its plastic pot that most of them are sold in. So do you see here? It came in this really cute white ceramic pot, which is wonderful. And I will use this actually for cut flowers because it has no drainage holes. So that'll be great for some floral arrangements. I'm always collecting lots and lots of free vases. And then this is what the liner looks like. This is what it's actually potted down in. Do you see this? And this is what she says is the huge issue. One of the huge issues for orchids sold like this is that, of course, plastic is not porous. No air can be getting to the roots, although there are some drainage holes there. She said this is a horrible kind of pot to grow your orchids in. So let me show you the pot it's going to go in. And right here it is. It's going to go in this terracotta pot. If you follow my videos for very long, you know that I am fond of terracotta. But I'm not so fond of the red clay looking terracotta. I like to whitewash mine with chalk paint. And let me show you. I like that they will patina or age over time because of moisture and dirt and all of that. Let me show you what they end up looking like over a lot of use. Now, this is a little bit dirtier than I'd like because I haven't cleaned it yet, but you get the idea. They go from sort of this to this over time, and I like that aged look. So eventually this will resemble something like that. So the next thing that she did was she removed the plant from the original plastic container. And in her video, the orchid she bought was surrounded by moss and actually planted in moss. And moss, she says, holds way too much moisture. And so you can end up killing your orchid because the roots will rot out. What I'm discovering here is mine, thank goodness, was mostly planted in bark, which is what you want. You don't want it to be planted in moss. But I want to bring it in close to the camera because I can already see. Can you see what I'm seeing? What I am noticing is some of the roots on this plant are already looking like they might begin to rot. They're a little squishy, and that's not good for any plant to get root rot. What you want, and what she says, is we want green, healthy green roots. Do you see that? Okay, so that's what we're after. And some of these, especially like this one, you can't feel it, but I can, and it's a little squishy. All right, so we want to prevent root rot. Absolutely. All right, so the thing that's going to help prevent root rot is, number one, growing it in a high quality orchid mix that's mostly bark, and planting it in a porous style container like terracotta. Let me show you what I'm going to grow it in. I ran to the big box store this morning because I don't grow orchids, so I didn't have any of this special potting mix, but this is what I picked up at a big box store, and it contains fir bark, charcoal carbon, and coarse perlite. And it probably even says what all those wonderful things do for your plants like this. Let's see, it says premium blend of western fir bark nuggets, coarse perlite, hardwood charcoal, which promotes strong growth by providing the drainage and aeration orchid roots find and thrive on in nature. And in fact, actually, orchids in nature grow on trees. And my mother used to live in South Florida, and I would visit the botanical gardens down there, and even just the garden centers and people's homes, and they had orchids growing out of their trees. I mean, spectacular. Those roots aren't in soil. They're woven in the bark of the tree, through the crevices of the tree. They're exposed to air and that lovely humidity of South Florida. So they get a lot of moisture from rain, but also the humidity directly through their root system that's exposed to the elements. So I thought that was quite interesting. So, all right, next stop I think is to go back here and get this orchid in some fresh orchid mix. All right, so I've brought the camera way in, so hopefully I will be able to capture all of this for you all. One of the things she said to do is to take these clips off of the stems. So to remove those, I'm going to try that. I may restake this once I get them in the growing medium. So let me just do that. Trying not to hurt the beautiful stems of the orchids, but I do think I'll probably end up staking them just for a little extra support. And I'm sure this orchid, like almost everything that we transplant or transfer or repot, is going to go through a little shock. So let me set that out of the way. Okay, orchid. So I'm going to just gently remove whatever growing medium it was in originally. And let me see if I can give you a sense of what it looks like without all that stuff. And I'm really kind of at a quandary here. I feel like I might want to remove some of these roots that look a little squishy. I don't know, I'm a little scared, but you know what? I can't really feel it with my gloves on. So let me take my gloves off. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. So she didn't show this on her video, but I think anything that's really yucky, I'm going to trim. So let me grab my pruners. Oh boy, I'm not sure this is going to work, but I'm going to try. I can't trim it all because honestly, everybody, I won't be left with a lot of roots if I do that. And as we know, roots feed and draw up nutrients for our plants. So I'm going to just take the squishiest roots off. Oh, goodness. And maybe once I get this down into the bark, the bark will draw out some of that moisture. Okay, I'm afraid to go much further. That was quite a lot. Those of you, I meant to say when I first started this video, since I don't grow orchids, I'm a newbie, I need your advice. So if you're cringing while you watch me do this, please leave some comments below. Or if you're not cringing, but you have some other tips for me, please do not hesitate to enlighten me and anybody else out there that gets these gorgeous orchids home and then within a few weeks they die. Okay, that's all I'm going to do for now. I'll set that to the side. I'll put my gloves back on. And again, this is the original bark mix that it came in. I'm going to move that over to the side, and since I bought a whole bag, let's use it. Okay, so here is my terracotta pot. Has a drainage hole, and because this medium is chunky, I'm not going to put anything to cover the hole, but I do have, you see these little mesh screens, so sometimes that's nice to put one of those in the bottom, especially if your pot has a big hole, to keep the soil from running out. But this soil is chunky, so it shouldn't run out of that hole. So I'm going to open up my bag here. Well, it says I ought to be able just to tear it. There we go. And let's see what this looks like. Oh, it's a really chunky. All right, well, check this out. See what that looks like? I can see the charcoal and perlite and of course this special bark. So I guess I'm going to need to fill it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to kind of separate out the roots a little bit. This is kind of freaking me out, everybody. I'm just telling you. Full disclosure. Oh, I'm not sure how this is going to work. I'm used to planting all other kinds of things in regular soil, not this kind of soil. But you know what? If you don't try, you can't succeed, right? So you got to take a little bit of risk. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to continue to pop this bark in and around the roots, just like so. This bark is a lot chunkier than the bark that it came with. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, everybody. You orchid growers out there, what's your favorite kind of orchid mix? Do you have a certain brand? Leave your ideas in the comments below for sure. Okay, now I am not going to release my hand off of these beautiful stalks. I am definitely going to insert a couple of supports down into the mix because I do not want to snap these branches. So let's try to connect this one first. There we go. And then let's work on, oops, let's see. How about this one? And there we go. A little bit better. Yeah? Okay, I have 2 clips per stem, so, oh, I hate that that stem is so tall. I don't like how that looks. I might be able to snap it off, cut it off, but I'll do that later because I'm too afraid I might mess it up even further. All right. So So there she is. Okay, so prepare for me to blow your mind. The gal that I watched on Instagram said, in terms of watering, never ever follow the directions that you usually get with your orchids from big box stores. And just like she said, I got a little card that came with this that said, place 3 ice cubes in the top of your pot once a week and let those ice cubes slowly melt. That's all you need to do. Well, she said, no, 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 never, ever, ever do that. She said, you need to water from the bottom. And I'm going to show you how to do that. A lot of things we like to water from the bottom, not overhead watering or water at the root level. But for orchids, she said water from the bottom. And as you remember, this little terracotta pot had a nice big drainage hole right in the bottom. So this is what she said to do. Fill a vessel, and in this case, I've got a little seed starting tray here, so I'm going to pour some water in it. And she said, you know, pour a couple of inches of water down in a container, like I'm going to do here. All right. And then she said, place your pot right down in the water for about an hour. So I'm going to set my timer here. Okay. And then lift it out, and it should draw up a sufficient amount of moisture up into the bark mix and the roots, and that should be all you need to do. And she recommends doing that maybe once or twice a month at the most. Wow, so they need very, very little water apparently. And I would agree with her because as we saw earlier, those roots were squishy and starting to rot from the ice cube method. So I'm going to try this method and see what happens. All right, so this beautiful orchid has been resting here in this basin of water for about an hour, which is what she recommends. So all I need to do is just to let it drain a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it inside the house. So out of the greenhouse, it's going to go inside the house, and I have chosen to place it in our master bathroom because we have 2 big beautiful windows, and it will get plenty of indirect light, which is what is often recommended for orchids. And I'm just hoping it made it through this process. You know, I love to experiment. It's worth doing. What do they say? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. And so why not follow some experts out there? But if you have a lot of experience with orchids, just like I asked before, please don't hesitate to share what you know with this new orchid grower. So until next time, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.